economy to me is adding a green touch to the reality of things, the business, the work, the life, and that's how I see it. That's the way I see it.
So here in Brazil, we do have a mixed economy of the kind that can benefit from the principles of greening. And already I'm delighted to see the progress that has been made. For example, in Curitiba, which is very much a sustainable city in terms of public transportation being almost 45% of its total transport. And for example, in the use of ethanol, there's a sugarcane-based ethanol cars in Brazil which has been going on for more than 20 years. So there are many elements of Brazil's existing economy which are already very much in the direction of a green economy.
As civil society or as academia, we really need to encourage, pressure the governments to continue to mobilize at the global level to make sure the countries of the North, who have contributed far more than we have to the overall global damage, that they actually pay. They need to pay what it is they say they're going to pay.
Creo que los principales desafíos están asociados, por una parte, a que la gente comprenda lo que es economía verde. Es un concepto que da para mucho y por lo mismo quizás más que enredarnos y complicarnos en una definición, la idea es que con la diversidad de gente que hay acá, de personas, de empresas, de ONG, de gobierno, podamos llegar a algunos temas prioritarios.
We have to focus on the sectors that are most important to us and focus on, as we said, the low-hanging fruit. So, for example, tourism. We realize that consumer demand is moving in a green direction. And if we're able to reformulate our tourism industry and focus on green tourism, which involves less people, more green technology, the ecological impact will be lower. So if we focus on the low-hanging fruit, I think we'll be able to have the most success initially, and then that will build and snowball into the future.
Bom, dos principais desafios para a implantação do estabelecimento de uma economia verde no Brasil, eu acredito que nós temos duas vertentes aí. A primeira vertente é a questão do próprio Estado, do próprio governo, que está começando agora em 2011 e que deveria incorporar essas questões para uma análise dentro do próprio plano de governo, para verificar o que são os setores importantes, onde é que o Brasil tem as maiores oportunidades, onde é que estão os maiores riscos, quer dizer, um planejamento estratégico em relação a como adotar os padrões de economia verde.
And we see corporate social responsibility in terms of including the social and environmental concerns of citizens, but also through what I mean by CSR is not philanthropy. We have to move away from that. That's an important learning. I think it's more about businesses bringing in, creating value chains and with the communities that they work in to provide training and development skills. It could be corporate volunteerism. It could be internal CSR as well, making your staff more competitive, as well as external, which I just referred to. So I think that is how we have to bring the private sector, who's actually calling for this, but government needs to step in now and become the major agent for this change, and government needs to identify and demonstrate corporate social responsibility in their own decision making and implementing programs.
We need jobs, and we can't have jobs in the villages without energy. And then you have the issue of water. So there are these triangle of water, food and jobs. Water, food, jobs and energy, which have to be solved in a manner that the people at the villages can profit from that to build up their standard of living, their living human life in a better way. So for that, of course, it's a whole question of linking finance, markets, technology, and so on. But the most important thing in this is the capacity of the people to be able to manage their lives themselves.
In my state, more than 98% of drinking water which comes to villages comes from groundwater, deep groundwater. Therefore, the sustainability of groundwater seems to be what we should be looking for. Whereas the policy, the national water policy and the state water policy says that we move away from groundwater to surface water as reliable sources. Is this some conflict, and is there some way of looking at things differently would be a question that we'll have to ask.
Because I think so the communication of that particular technology and the education to the people does not reach and is not embedded very strongly. And I think so any technology, howsoever green and whatsoever mechanisms you may have, you may line up the policy, you may have financial resources given, you may have methods and systems and institutions created. Unless you do not reach the people and talk to them that this is how it's going to benefit you and make them as owners of this, that look, this is how it's going to benefit you and this is what you need to take and adopt.
When you talk about urban systems or even building technologies, they have a relationship with the way we build in cities. And this is determined at the moment by the economy of land. And I don't know how to probe this question deeper, but I think it's a crucial one.
That how do we address holistically the issues which our rural people are facing, which are climate issues are there, and how greening of economy overall can be done in a holistic manner.
I think just generally big business in many instances has the intention to make changes or create different business models or embrace the green economy. But our ability to make the scale of change required is very often limited by the people in the organization because we're not exposed to the kind of work that I saw over the last weekend. And I think that's the main takeaway for me is how do we more, as big business, engage with organizations such as yours?
I think it was really interesting to explore the barriers to moving forward and identifying a distorted value system, especially within the youth, as one of the barriers moving forward. That our value system generally today is geared towards excessive consumption, environmentally damaging consumption, and basically unsustainable forms of consumption. So exploring those ideas I thought were really interesting from a youth perspective, because we have to change those value systems in order to move forward. We'll be able to recognize that spending a little bit more on a sustainable practice is worth the extra money, and that spending in an unsustainable way, consuming too much, is going to damage us in the long run.
The green economy is really one of the ways that you have to engage to get to the sustainable development that we want. So that to me was very important. It also demonstrated to me that there are things, activities that Caribbean people, through their NGOs and governments can do now if they're predisposed to the need to sustainably exploit our natural resources.